For those of you joining online, we have several folks still lining up to come inside the venue at Bitter Lake Community Center. So we're going to give it just a few more minutes for the crowd to make their way in and settle in, and then we'll get going shortly. Thank you for joining us today.
I think I got you.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Hello. We're going to get started. I think after we have a limited time in this room, so I want to get the meeting going. Start off with some introductions. My name is Nick Zahowski. I am the project manager, civilian project manager at Seattle Police Department. Longtime Greenwood resident, about 20 years. We're going to be here talking tonight about the surveillance technology public comment, the surveillance impact review for the technology assisted crime prevention pilot. We have some people that are going to be presenting online first, and then we'll do public comment. So online, we have Carrie Key from the mayor's office, and from SPD, we have Captain James Britt, as well as Deputy Chief Eric Barton. And I hope folks can hear us. We had to rig up an audiovisual system here. So we have a microphone here at the front, speaker here. So I'm going to try to speak very loudly. Can you hear me back there? Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna move forward with the meeting. We have time for public comment after the presentation. So if you could hold your comments until after the meeting, we'd appreciate it. So I understand we're gonna have comments after the presentation, and you can comment, make your comments there then. So could I have the next slide, please? So Public Records Act notice, this meeting is being recorded. It is online as well as here in person. So we're gonna start record on the meeting online. So folks can take notes. So just want to make that clear. We're gonna start recording now, so everybody's aware. And just a reminder that the information here is, including the public comments, is considered public record and so is publicly disclosable. Next slide, please. For folks online, some basics here. You can, there's a chat on the side, as well as you will be muted and you will be unmuted when, if you want to comment. Once we call your name, we'll unmute you and you can give your comment. In terms of audio, there is a down at the bottom on the toolbar, there's three dots. If you click on that, you'll be able to change your audio settings. If you can't hear us, you can choose your options for that. Next slide, please. So for those of you who are dialing in to the WebEx meeting, to the online meeting, once the meeting starts, if you would like to comment, you can press *3 on your phone to raise your hand. And once you raise your hand, you'll hear a prompt telling you that you've raised your hand to ask a question. And you can also hear a list of commands on your phone if you press **. If you no longer want to leave a comment, or the host has already called you, then press *3 to lower your hand. Again, this is folks calling in on the meeting on their phone. *3 to raise your hand, *3 to lower. Next slide, please. So for everyone here in person, if you'd like to comment, please sign in on the comment sheet where Henry is at that table up there and indicate that you want to speak. And then we'll have the time for public comment after the presentation. The host will call your name when it's time to speak. We're going to do 5, in terms of public comment, we're going to do 5 people in person and then 5 people online. So we'll alternate back and forth between online and in person. Next slide. Some ground rules, both for folks here and then online as well. Be respectful of diverse opinions and experiences. Please be an active listener during the presentations. If anyone is exhibiting disruptive behavior, intimidation, or aggression, you may be muted if you're online or asked to leave if you're here. And if you are asked to leave or if you're muted, you can leave your comments online or by letter as well. And this is important. Please keep your comments under 2 minutes. We have a lot of folks here in person. We have a lot of folks online. Just a reminder, so for these surveillance impact reviews, these happen regularly for new technologies throughout the city. All these meetings are 1 hour. Since we have so many folks here, we can extend it. However, we only have this room till 8 o'clock. And so at 7:30, we need to start taking stuff down. So hopefully we can get everybody's comments heard here. But please keep it under 2 minutes. We'll be letting you know when you are 10 seconds to go. Sarah over here will raise her hand. So please keep it under 2 minutes. And if there are too many people and we have to shut down the meeting, you can always comment online. There'll be some links where you can go and leave your comment. Next slide. So City of Seattle's definition of surveillance. Surveillance is defined as technologies that observe or analyze the movements, behavior, or actions of identifiable individual in a manner that is reasonably likely to raise concerns about civil liberties, freedom of speech or association, racial equity, or social justice. Certain technologies such as police body cameras and technologies for everyday office use are excluded from the law. So next slide, please. So I just want to remind everybody about the surveillance impact review process. This is why we're here tonight. presenting and getting public comments on this process. So the first one was a draft in review of the surveillance impact reports. Those are posted online on the city's website. The current step is a public comment period. After that, we do some analysis. We're going to compile these comments and finalize the surveillance impact reports. There's a working group review of 4 community members. They will complete a privacy and civil liberties impact assessment for each one of these technologies. Goes back to the city technology officer, who does a response executive overview, and then it will be sent to the council, right? So this is a long step in a multi-stage process that is outlined in city ordinances. So we're right here. We're at public comment period. It goes through a couple steps, and then it eventually ends up at the city council, right? For them to weigh in on. Next slide, please. Again, you can also comment online. There's a link there. Just a reminder that there are 3 technologies that we're talking about. There's 3 technologies that are going to be discussed at this meeting. One is closed circuit television, or otherwise referred to as CCTV. The other one is acoustic gunshot location system, or AGLS. We're going to refer to it as AGLS in case you hear that. And then the third is real-time crime center, or RTCC. We'll refer to it, but you'll hear a lot the acronyms. So again, 3 technologies: CCTV, the gunshot detection, or AGLS, and the real-time crime center. So these are the 3 technologies that we're talking about tonight. You can always mail comment. You can comment on each one of those technologies online, or mail a comment to the Seattle IT. Next slide, please. So public hearing format, SPD is going to present the 3 technologies that I talked about: CCTV, gunshot detection, or AGLS, and real-time crime center. And then we'll have time for public comment afterwards. Next slide. All right, so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Carrie Keefe from the mayor's office.
The Public Safety Director for Seattle. And the mayor's guiding principle is that everyone in Seattle deserves to be safe and live without fear of being a victim of crime. Data shows that gun violence, human trafficking, and other persistent felony behavior is concentrated in specific locations. And to effectively address these locations, a comprehensive and holistic crime prevention strategy is required. This strategy includes the 3 crime prevention technologies that you'll hear more about tonight, together with increased environmental improvements. And that includes safer, cleaner sidewalks, cleaner streets, enhanced lighting, and other public safety measures, such as the continued investment of community-based crime and violence interrupters. This pilot project will focus on a defined area with high occurrence of gun violence, human trafficking, and/or persistent felony behavior. The locations chosen will be guided by data, with preliminary assessments identifying the 3rd Avenue from Union to Virginia, the Pike Pine and parts of Belltown, Aurora Avenue North, and the Chinatown International District as potential pilot locations. These 3 technologies enhance the investigative capabilities and provide additional tools for police to address continuous criminal behavior. The CCTV camera has no facial recognition capability. It will be public facing on streets, sidewalks, and parks where there's no expectation of privacy. Notices will be clearly posted of the camera's presence. CCTV will assist the investigators in collecting evidence related to serious and violent crimes, including homicides, assaults, and other felony offenses. It will help police locate suspects, as well as clear innocent parties. The AGLS system will direct officers and EMTs to a more precise location of gunfire incidents and enhance the evidence collection and quicker aid response. Studies have shown that the AGLS technology is promising in preventing crime and assisting criminal investigations when coupled with CCTV and other crime reduction measures, such as the environmental improvements I mentioned earlier, public support, and increased patrol. The RTCC will provide a centralized location for real-time information analysis that integrates multiple information sources. And this will come into a single pane view that will allow officers to focus their efforts on verified locations and accurate descriptions. During this pilot period, a broad base of data will be collected and analyzed to make an evidence-based determination if the desired outcomes are being met. And that includes a reduction in criminal behavior, quicker response times, improved evidence collecting, and reduction of 911 calls, as well as the increased community satisfaction and security. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Captain Jim Britt with the Seattle Police Department. Very briefly, I'm going to introduce Deputy Chief Eric Barden, who's going to speak briefly about the department's goals and missions related to this technology. We'll speak very briefly on the technology. I know you guys want to get to public comments, so we'll get there very shortly. Chief?
Good evening. Eric Barden, Deputy Chief of Seattle PD. Very interested to hear input, comments, and questions this evening. Our goal is with our current severe staffing shortage to maximize our efficiency and effectiveness, focusing our efforts on precisely on people that are committing crimes and thereby reducing the number of contacts with people who are in the area or might some other way be caught up in an attempt to diagnose who's responsible for committing crimes. So we're hoping that in our extreme staffing shortage that we can improve our effectiveness, efficiency, and ability to provide public safety for the residents and visitors to our city.
Thank you, Chief. If we can go to the next slide, please. We'll get right into the technology. The first technology we're going to be speaking about this evening is closed-circuit TV cameras. The Seattle Police Department proposes closed-circuit TV camera systems to help deter and detect criminal activity. The CCTV camera systems are, my apologies. The CCTV camera systems are proposed to be installed at specific locations where gun violence, human trafficking, and persistent felony crime is concentrated. The cameras will face toward the street, sidewalk, and other public areas, and signs will be posted identifying their presence. Privately owned security systems can also share video streams of public areas with SPD. However, those sharings will be at the discretion and decision of each of the business and camera owners. They'll be able to determine when they're shared, how they're shared, how often they're shared, when SPD is allowed to access them, and have full control over the footage in that regard. Next slide, please. Why we wish to use it. CCTV camera systems will assist investigators in collecting evidence related to serious and violent crimes, including homicides, assaults, and other felony offenses. The CCTV system can aid investigators in identifying suspects, clearing the innocent, and removing deadly weapons from the street, thereby reducing the risk of harm to the public. Next slide, please. The data collected. CCTV data is temporarily stored in the system for a maximum of 30 days unless it includes evidence of a crime and is then stored in SPD's secured electronic storage for evidence. SPD policy governs the submission of evidence and requires that all collected evidence be documented in a general offense or incident offense report. Next slide, please. The protections. We understand at SPD and we take very seriously the concerns that these technologies can raise related to privacy and civil liberties. So we are very serious about the protections put in place to ensure that that privacy is upheld. In order to minimize inadvertent collection of data, the CCTV cameras will be placed to capture events in plain view in public areas where, as a matter of law, no reasonable expectation of privacy exists. CCTV video recordings are automatically purged after 30 days unless the footage is collected as evidence in a criminal investigation. Additionally, the CCTV camera systems will maintain a complete audit log of activities which can be viewed at any time by the Office of the Inspector General for Public Safety. Next slide, please. There are various related policies, state, federal, and local laws, as well as SPD policies that govern the usage of this technology. I won't go through this entire list, but for anybody who is interested in getting in the details, it is available within the slideshow that's posted to the site. I'm moving rather quickly because I know we want to get to public comments, so nobody wants to sit here and hear me talk all night. Go ahead to the next slide, please. The second technology is acoustic gunshot location systems, otherwise known as AGLS. SPD proposes AGLS to accelerate the response capabilities of police and EMS personnel to aid victims, locate and preserve evidence, and hold accountable those responsible for gun violence. AGLS utilizes microphones, sensors, placed in defined geographic areas that are programmed to detect the sound of gunshots and locate and alert the police to the incident. Next slide, please. Why we wish to use this: AGLS will assist investigators in collecting evidence related to the incidents of gunfire and provide precise location information to responders. This information will direct officers and EMTs to a more precise location, enhance collection of evidence that helps lead to justice for victims, and remove illegal firearms from the community. Next slide, please. Data collected: acoustic gunshot location systems capture audio above 120 decibels, well above the normal decibel level of human conversation. This audio is collected for a brief time and after the incident, as well as during the incident. The system calculates the location of where the shots occurred. SPD policy governs the submission of evidence and requires that all collected evidence be documented in a general offense or incident offense report. Next slide, please. The protections. Only authorized SPD, OIG, and OPA users can access the AGLS data while it resides on the devices. Access to the systems and technology is limited to authorized personnel via password-protected login credentials. Data may only be viewed or extracted for legitimate law enforcement purposes as governed by SPD policy and will be securely stored in a cloud-based environment. The retention period is determined by whether the data holds evidentiary value. Data without evidentiary value is overwritten in 30 days. Next slide, please. And once again, there's related policies and state, local, and federal laws that govern the use of this technology and the data collected. Next slide, please. The third and final software we're going to be talking about this evening is Real-Time Crime Center. RTCC software provides a centralized location for real-time information and analysis. At its core, RTCC software integrates dispatch, camera, officer location, gunshot detection, 911 calls, records management systems, and other information into one pane of glass, a single view, if you will. The software is used to alert real-time crime center staff to a serious criminal event, see multiple streams of information overlaid on a map view, and convey that information to officers who are responding in the field. Next slide, please. Why we wish to use this technology: RTCC software helps provide situational awareness to increase officers and the public's safety and reactively investigate incidents. Having real-time, accurate information in one place helps increase reliability of the location of victims and suspects, enabling quicker aid and safer apprehension. Having better visual and spatial suspect information will help reduce unnecessary stops by officers, focusing their efforts on verified locations and accurate descriptions. Next slide, please. The data collected by the RTCC software. The RTCC software integrates data from other SPD systems like CCTV, AGLS, automated license plate readers, records management systems, dispatch, geographic information systems, and 911 calls in a centralized location for real-time information and analysis. Access to the systems and technology is limited to authorized personnel via password-protected login credentials. Next slide, please. The protections in place. Only authorized SPD and OIG users can access the RTCC software platform. Access to the system and technology is limited to authorized personnel via password-protected login credentials. Data in the RTCC system may only be viewed or extracted for legitimate law enforcement purposes as governed by SPD policy. The retention period is determined by whether data holds evidentiary value. Data without evidentiary value is overwritten in approximately 30 days. Next slide, please. Once again, the related policies include state, federal, and local laws, as well as SPD policies to govern the use of this technology and the data created. Next slide, please. The overall purpose is what Chief Barden mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, which we're calling precision policing. With fewer staffing on the streets and fewer officers able to respond, we have to use data-informed capabilities to make sure that we are responding quickly, investigating thoroughly, identifying the correct suspects, arresting them safely, and using the information available to effectively prosecute those that are responsible. Next slide, please. Additionally, it's important for us to make sure that we're grading the effectiveness of this technology, both in its positive and its potentially negative effects. The Seattle Police Department is conscious of the potential for disparate impacts technology can have on various communities. In addition to the metrics that we will be using to evaluate the effectiveness of these technologies, the department's Performance Analytics and Research Unit will be monitoring the data in real time to identify unintended impacts on these communities, including over and under service, and will adjust the use of these technologies to minimize or eliminate these impacts as much as possible. Next slide, please. I'll go ahead and hand back over to Nick Zahowski in the room. That concludes my piece of the presentation. Thank you, everybody, for your time tonight. We look forward to your comments.
All right, thank you. So we're into the, excuse me, the public comment section. So what I'm going to do, as I was saying before, the EV setup's a little rough here. So for folks here in the public doing the public comment, I'll call 5 of you up if you want to come to this area, because the microphone is right here, so people online can hear you. And then we'll circle through 5. We'll go do 5 online and then 5 in the audience here. So I have a sign-in sheet. I'll call up 5 people here online. Again, if you want to comment online, raise your hand online on the WebEx. So the first 5 people here, we have Morgan Katz, excuse me, Peter Condit, Rasta Dunn, sorry about the pronunciation, Yin Yu, and Reverend Walden. So yeah, just go ahead and if those 5 folks want to come up here, and you can either address the crowd or the speakers, however you prefer.
Okay, just speak loud.
Yeah, remember 2 minutes, please. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll start with CCTV cameras. According to the flyer I got when I walked in, CCTV camera systems will be used to collect evidence related to serious and violent crimes. Yet the 40-year CCTV meta-analysis cited by the SPD itself concludes that CCTV cameras had no significant impact on violent crime. And in city and town centers, there weren't even significant impact on petty or property crime, which is supposedly not the focus, but considering all that, what are these cameras really for? It is also worth mentioning that according to the University of Hull, 9 out of 10 people, surveilled by CCTV camera operators were men. 4 out of 10 were teenagers. Black people were 1.5 to 2.5 times more likely to be surveilled than expected based on population makeup. As we all know, the United States is a very biased society. How can we trust people to do the right thing in these cases? It's also worth mentioning that human trafficking was mentioned. And as well as common knowledge by now, if they mean sex human trafficking, we know that doesn't occur by kidnappings in a white van, but in the home. Most actual human trafficking is just immigrants coming to America. And aren't we supposed to be a safe haven for them? How will the cameras help them? Time and again, it's been shown that what really reduces crime across the board is unconditional housing, food, medical care, daily living supplies, accessible recreation, and community. Why waste money on something we know doesn't work? Something likely to be used to prosecute people who are only trying to get by however they can. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Peter Condit. I live near Aurora and 85th Street. I'm against surveillance in my neighborhood or anywhere in Seattle. I do not want police and artificial intelligence systems to listen to or watch my family as we go about our lives. Surveillance leads to self-censoring and a loss of individuality and creativity. Surveillance is the opposite of a public good. The harmful impacts of these technologies and policing in general have fallen and will continue to fall disproportionately on individuals who have already experienced violence from white supremacy and colonialism. SPD commissioned a study in 2021 that showed that SPD stops Black and Native Seattleites over 7 times more often than white Seattleites. And police have a pattern of killing people they interact with. Black lives matter, Indigenous lives matter. City Council should not approve these surveillance technologies and should instead defund SPD. There is ample evidence that the millions of dollars that these technologies cost would be more effectively spent on community-led public health and safety programs like guaranteed basic income. Thank you for listening.
I think it wraps John, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Right, so, okay, I'm just talking to this?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Hello. My name's Rata. I I work, do mutual aid, meet old friends, make new ones, poster, anti-war posters here. Someone let me know. I walk uncles and aunties across Jackson. I'm friends with the Balloon Man. I do my general hanging out in the Chinatown International District. I want to let you know that this isn't the first time our neighborhood has this discussion of liberty versus security. When we had that discussion in the summer of 2019, those discussions broke Auntie Nora's heart because she couldn't guarantee that the planned cameras wouldn't be used for state surveillance, just like it would be in the ones in more authoritarian countries where she came from. I want to let you know that cameras don't prevent crime. I'm employed by the largest property owner in the neighborhood. We have cameras. When something happened, it was my job to look at cameras because at that time I was the youngest. I ain't that young no more. It was a slow, long, agonizing task, and it doesn't plan to prevent anything. I was there in Canton Alley when the windows on the wing was smashed. I was horrified by the attack, but I was horrified by my response for retribution. My parents taught me better. Retribution is punitive. These cameras are punitive. Let's lead with love and hope, as our parents tried to teach us, as we strive to teach our own, so we can heal. We can use that money, the ones for the punitive cameras that don't work in a deficit year, and put that money back into community and give it to folks to serve the community. Give those resources to our communities who need it. That's the best way to heal, to prevent crime. It's not going to be just a Band-Aid like these cameras that don't work, but a reinvestment in our community can actually give us some hope, give our communities a way to heal rather than plan to be punitive. Thank you.
I just want to say that I too am disappointed that the community members are not here in person. My name is Yin Chi-her. I'm a community member living, shopping, grocery shopping, organizing in Chinatown International District. And as a property taxpayer, I am not a supporter of this unnecessary spending. Currently, there are already heightened police presence in Little Saigon terrorizing people. Additional surveillance will not prevent crime. In learning from history of Chinatown International District organizing, this community has always provided for themselves, as the city has intentionally neglected them. My partner is part of IDEC, International District Emergency Center, whom in previous years, the uncles and aunties would show up at incidents before the fire or the police department would arrive. All of the nonprofits and service providers that exist in CID were created out of a need that the government wasn't serving. I'm here to ground you in history of community providing for themselves, healthcare, housing, safety. Let's invest in community relationships and keep us safe instead of technologies that is too expensive, technologies that don't work, technologies that are invasive, technology that automatically call police for a community that doesn't trust police. Let's continue to outsource. Let's not continue to outsource community relationship and activation to technologies that have proven not to work. CCTV recording don't prevent crime. AGLS means that there's invasive microphones in Black and brown communities. RTCC means policing by data. I'm surprised in a budget deficit year that we're even discussing investment in voice technology when public services will be cut. Let your legacy be one that doesn't continue to fail, that doesn't continue failed technology investment, rather that one that address root causes.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Walden. I'm the founder of Mothers Police Accountability. We're doing this work for 34 years, and I'm here to speak for the Black community, for the weeping mothers, for the mothers who are crying, for the mothers, children who have been killed. Mothers has been calling for cameras in a high-profile area since 2014 when Police O'Toole was here. People shoot people in the daytime because they know they're not going to go to jail. And so we can have everybody talk about BIPOC, about the Black community, but have they been to a funeral? How many times have they sat with mothers who are crying because their children have been killed? I mean, look at all the violence in Seattle. And so we support this technology. Mothers Police Accountability do. And I was sat with many mothers whose children have been killed in Seattle since if we add up all the bodies and call all the names of the people who've been killed in Seattle since 1990, we'd be ashamed of ourselves to talk about what communities don't need. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go to 5 folks online now. So with that, Eleanor, do you want to?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. I see that it looks like I'm just going to go by the queue, which I think is chronologically. So we'll start with Milo, Scott, DJ, Atlas, and Vivian. And so I'll just unmute you and let you know before I do. Thank you so much. So. Okay, Milo.
Oh, hi. My name is Milo. I live in Capitol Hill District 3, and I would like to publicly oppose the proposal to use CCTV, ShotSpotter, and Real-Time Crime Center in the name of public safety. My issue with this stems from the fact that these tools promote and enable racist profiling. They have been proven by other cities who have tried to use them to be ineffective, and it feels like a complete waste of money when we could be using that money to find solutions that actually promote public safety. For CCTV, the study y'all referenced in your own impact documents state that it has no observed effects for violent crime, and other studies have shown that it doesn't promote public safety, but instead dangerously increases racial profiling. For ShotSpotter or AGLS, it's very clear based on other cities' attempts to use the technology that it simply doesn't work. In Chicago, initial police responses to 88.7% of ShotSpotter alerts found no incidents involving a gun. These false alarms cause police to show up more frequently to marginalized neighborhood in a heightened state thinking that there's gun violence, which is not a winning formula for police to foster good relationships with people they are hired to serve. This technology is a waste of money for the city and seems highly likely to waste our limitedly staffed police force's time chasing false alarms, which is exactly what you were saying it's supposed to help with. Regarding RTCC, it uses privately owned cameras, allowing them to bypass laws and restrictions that normally limit police, such as having to get warrants. This creates conditions that are ripe for police abuse with little to no oversight. This is problematic as our police force strives to win the trust of our citizens after countless instances they lost that trust, such as laughing and downplaying the murder of Janavi Kandula. As an alternative, I would like to see the violence interruption programs and more investment in mental health treatment, substance abuse treatment, and affordable housing. The current proposed tech tools are a cheap ploy to appease the public by AI washing them to believe progress is being made instead of taking the time and effort to actually address the issues that cause people to turn to violence. And worst of all of them have shown to contribute to increased racial profiling. On that basis alone, and given that your plan is to use it and then see people get profiled after folks had already likely been profiled by it and face legal consequences, I don't believe this proposal should be allowed to continue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Milo. Scott Sternberg, sorry, forgive me. I'm going to unmute you.
Thank you. My name is Scott Sternberg. I live in Beacon Hill. All respect to the mothers and fathers and victims of violent crimes, and including state-sanctioned violence. I urge the City Council to reject any funding, piloting, implementation, and use of these technologies, CCTV, RTCC, and AGLS. They pose a significant threat to civil rights and liabilities. The BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color, and immigrants are already subject to disproportionate rates of violence by SPD, even after a decade under a consent decree. These technologies represent a threat to equitable public safety in Seattle. In numerous independent studies over the last 25 years, deployments of these technologies have failed to result in any evidence of reduction of violent crimes. They have technologies like ShotSpotter have high false positives, leading to false arrests, and creates many unnecessary contacts between police and innocent civilians. There are many anecdotal stories of the harms that these technologies have inflicted on communities. I urge the City Council to vote no to funding and implementation of these technologies. It is critical to make investments in meaningful community interventions and supports. Violent crimes can be reduced by investments in mental health treatment, providing substance abuse treatment facilities, access to affordable housing, food, and facilitating income equity. No to funding and implementation of increased surveillance. Yes to community investment and investments in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. BJ, last, I'm going to unmute you, and I just want to thank you all for keeping to the 2 minutes. I know that that's a lot to put in there, so thank you so much. And BJ, please do go ahead.
My name is BJ Last. I want to start off by saying it's really disappointing that there are fewer public hearings than even the number of technologies being up for consideration. That really says you guys don't actually want public input on this. As for three technologies, AGLS it's a false positive machine that does nothing but send police chasing things on wild goose chases. And that's true regardless of the brand. ShotSpotter, 90% false alert rate in Chicago, 97% in Atlanta. Flock, another AGLS system, 92% false alert rate during its 6-month pilot in Champaign, Illinois. And this technology causes massive harm. We all remember Adam Toledo, the unarmed 13-year-old that the Chicago Police Department chased down and murdered while he was unarmed because they were responding to a ShotSpotter alert. So this is a technology that has already killed at least one person. And I say at least because just last month, the cops actually shot at another unarmed child because they were responding to a ShotSpotter alert and heard a large sound. Cops have also been caught running over gunshot victims while responding to AGLS alerts. CCTV, we have studies from the UK to Dallas showing CCTV do not reduce violent crime or cause any increase in clearance rates. At the same time, they cause massive harm. As one example, Washington, D.C. police were caught using CCTV camera footage to try to blackmail gay men. And RTCC, this destroys Seattle's ability to be a sanctuary city for anyone, whether that's women seeking abortion health care, immigrants, or anyone seeking transgender health care, because it is designed to make sharing between law enforcement agencies as frictionless as possible, removing need for warrants or even other ways to try to get approval to share information across groups. It also really removes public oversight and possibly violates the surveillance ordinance because it removes public control. Private cameras being integrated, public doesn't get any control over where those go. They also like to brag about rolling out new algorithms. That's something the public will have no input on actually coming out and knowing that that is coming into their city. And the talk of these three techs being something new shows the constantly shifting goalposts of surveillance. each one of these techs on their own swore it was going to like first prevent crime, then it was proven that didn't happen, then it would gather evidence that didn't happen, and now it's okay if you buy all of these together. It just shows all that surveillance does is justify more spending on surveillance.
Eleanor, could you identify the next person in line for online
Yeah,
conversation? Thank you.
sorry. Yeah, Atlas, I apologize, I'm not sure what happened, but yeah, yeah, Atlas, I will be unmuting you.
Hi, I'm Atlas. I'm a Two-Spirit Indigenous person, Muckleshoot. I wholly, full-heartedly reject all of this technology that the Seattle Police Department is saying would improve any of our lives. We know that the police have been built on protecting private property and brutalizing Black and Indigenous people in our communities, as well as LGBTQ plus and Two-Spirit people. As somebody who's a software engineer and has been in technology for over a decade, I know that as I have worked on these AIs and algorithms, not for policing, but for other purposes, that they are built on racist data sets. Every single part of these algorithms are coded as ways to racialize, profile, and commit violence against our communities. This is a huge waste of our time, our tax money, and our emotional capacity as well as a community. All of this effort, all of this round and round that we're doing should be about allocating funds to community, to policies, and to groups that actually work to prevent violent crime and any other incident that the police may want to criminalize that is also a result of lack of housing, lack of basic needs being met. We need to abolish the police, and this is a clear effort to incarcerate Black and Indigenous people to continue to profit on modern day slave labor. That is all. I completely reject it.
Thank you, Atlas. Vivian, I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you, or was that 5? I'm so sorry.
Hi, hello. Hi, thank you. My name is Vivian. I work in CID. I'm open to learn more about this technology program. We have seen it in our store. The CCTV helped people to feel safer. So I'm interested to learn more about it, about the pilot program and what it can actually bring to the community. So yes, that's my comment. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're gonna go back to the room. Nick, did you want to go ahead?
Can you hear?
They can hear you. They just unmuted you.
Okay, thank you. So Brian DeLuca, Jackie Macta, Erica Bryce. I'm sorry, I can't read the last name. Thank you. Camille Baldwin, Bonnie, and Renaissance. Brian?
Brian DeLuca, I live down at Green Lake. I have nothing to fear from technology that helps identify and apprehend and convict criminals. Why? I am not a criminal. I have no intention of ever being a criminal. I want technology to help capture the bad guys and gals. It is, unless you are all willing victims of the next petty or serious crime, you'll be against killing technology to get the bad guys. Perhaps 100 years ago or so, you'd be in this room fighting against taking fingerprints. Think about it. Are you all willing victims? I'm getting that feeling.
Hi, my name is Jackie Makta. I'm a resident of District 3. I come here today to voice my strong opposition to all three of the proposed surveillance technologies. These technologies have shown to be ineffective. A study cited in the city's surveillance impact report itself mentioned that CCTV has no measurable impact on violent crime and is more targeted for use in car parks, for example, which is not in line with how the city is proposing to use this technology. A study by the MacArthur Justice Center for ShotSpotter usage in Chicago found that 86% of reported shots resulted in no crime found. And indeed, Chicago has elected to cancel their contract with ShotSpotter in 2024. In addition, these technologies are likely to target people of color and marginalized people. This, combined with a lack of trust and accountability in SPD, is a recipe for disaster. For example, we recently learned that Seattle police officer who murdered Yanvi Kandula by running her over in his cop car will not face any charges. This is completely unacceptable. I urge you to instead focus on building trust with the community. I echo comments from others here that we need to focus on community-based solutions to reduce violent crime at their root, such as affordable housing and healthcare, instead of wasting money on these ineffective and invasive technologies. Thank you.
So I want to start my comment by pointing out that in a meeting discussing reporting and data collection, I can't actually report my own gender on this form. So I appreciate that. And if that was pedantic, I apologize, but this comment is going to be pedantic because I'm a pedant and I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that so many of us did the work to find research evaluating these technologies, while these proposals have moved forward with close to no research backing up their supposed benefits. We've heard plenty about studies covering the harms of AGLS software, not just ShotSpotter, and all of the other software here, but I think it's worth highlighting the inaccurate and negligent statements made by SPD in their surveillance impact reports. For one, their frequent comments about the decibel minimum for audio requirements really make no sense. A decibel measurement measures the loudness of a sound at a particular location at this point where it's being recorded. And a decibel measurement is no guarantee of what these microphones pick up, and the assertion of the contrary is ridiculous. Furthermore, it's no guarantee that the hardware will pick up a gunshot at all, let alone not record something that is not a gunshot. But more importantly, the reassurances that the software won't pick up human speech is a big red herring. While it's a dangerous risk, what's a larger risk is the much documented evidence that AGLS hardware largely inaccurately reports non-gunshots as gunshots. SPD claims that their use of this technology in conjunction with the other surveillance tech they're proposing means that the reams of data showing this aren't relevant, but this is ridiculous. If this technology, as proposed, will trigger the use of surveillance tech for the unwarranted observation and data collection of civilians, false positives from AGLS are more relevant, not less, to this conversation and this proposal. It's unintelligibly irresponsible that SPD did not deem this wildly researched facts relevant to their reporting, and this omission is indicative of their approach to all of these technologies. I want to make sure I give others time, so I'll wrap up with this question: why? Why invest in this Orwellian crime response technology instead of further investing in already proven crime prevention work being done with communities, when we know that violence interruption programs reduce violent crime by up to 50%? By contrast, we know that AGLS misrepresents gunshots at least 90% of the time and can only respond to crime, not prevent it. SPD provides no data to show this technology works, while plenty of research shows it hurts. Why should the city invest in technology when its benefits are entirely theoretical, but its harms are very real?
Hello, my name is Camille. I'm a longtime Seattle resident. I've been here 29 years, and I am very concerned about this massive surveillance technology the city is trying to procure. These technologies undercut our values as a sanctuary city, and I am particularly concerned with the RTCC software. These softwares recruit a vast assortment of privately owned cameras that allow the company to bypass laws and restrictions, including viewing camera footage without a warrant or ongoing consent from the owner. RTCC software can turn any camera into an automatic license plate reader. Anti-abortion groups have a long history of using license plate data. RTC software is meant to allow this data to be shared across law enforcement agencies. There is nothing preventing a third-party agency and an anti-abortion state to use this data to criminally prosecute those seeking abortion in Washington state. Technology also puts our immigrant population at risk. ICE has a history of violating local sanctuary laws, and this software, and see, if we procure this software, we cannot control the data. We cannot protect that population. It also presents a threat to our free speech right, and there is precedent for this. In 2021, LAPD requested bold camera data targeting Black Lives Matter protesters. In New York City, there is evidence that NYPD used CCTV with facial recognition technology to surveil Black Lives Matter protesters. Gun violence is a serious issue and of the utmost importance, and it deserves a significant and urgent response. And there are many community-based, evidence-based interventions that are effective that the city could be scaling up and investing in. This technology is proven ineffective, expensive, and harmful. Thank you.
Renaissance?
Yeah, that would be me.
I have a report for you. It's a community sign-on letter. What I've just given them is a sign-on letter that Seattle Solidarity Budget put together. For those online and here in the room, with 1,220 individual signatures, 70 community organization signatures with all of their constituencies, members, and their bases that are in direct opposition of this 3 surveillance technologies being implemented here in the city of Seattle. In addition to that, like our friend just shared, we have 43 citations in this document alone. And in our call to action, there are volumes more citations. And in the surveillance impact report, they left boxes empty when they had an opportunity to provide evidence of their claims. There's so much that can be said about this, but the things that are coming to my mind is that my sister and my brother-in-law with their 5 children live right over the hill over there. And my mother lives right over the hill over there. And that I grew up in these neighborhoods. And we were in a panel last night, and y'all should definitely check out the panel that we hosted. It's on YouTube. It's on Seattle Solidarity Budget's website, where we were talking about the problems and issues with this technology, as well as the community-based solutions that will actually help rectify the harms in the communities. And one of the things that was brought up was like house arrest allows not only for the monitoring and tracking of the individual that they put the bracelet on, but their entire family, their teachers, their friends, all of their community members. So even when one person is being surveilled, all those people are being surveilled. And this is just a further continuation of criminalization. And the other thing that comes to mind is that Bruce Harrell, both as a mayor and as a city council member, has been attempting to push ShotSpotter and this technology into our communities for a long time. And usually he goes through the legislative bill process, but this time he's moved it into passing a budget. And then instead of putting it at Rainier Beach where they wanted to put it the other times, they put it in some North End communities with less people of color so that it wouldn't have to go through the same requirements of the racial equity toolkit. A memo for the city of Seattle Central staff identified that Bruce Harrell would like to move these technology from the locations that they are within 1 year. And that means that it's already going to be approved by that point. So it's not going to have the same sort of opposition and community and scrutiny. And then you're going to move it right into the communities that we're exactly talking about right now. And you want me to stop talking, and I get that. And there's a lot of other people here. I disagree with this technology, and over 1,200 people do as well as the people in here and that are online.
Yeah.
Eleanor, could we call up the next 5 people in the online
Yeah,
comment, please? Thank you.
of course. Yep. Ethan, I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you. I know you had your hand raised and I accidentally lowered it when I was lowering something else. So we're gonna unmute you, and thank you so much for keeping to the 2 minutes.
My name is Ethan Campbell and I live in D3 and work in D4. I oppose all 3 of these technologies, but I want to speak about CCTV. As a researcher who uses quantitative methods day in and day out, I'm concerned by the extent to which the city is neglecting the current body of academic research that finds that widespread CCTV use is not effective at deterring or investigating serious and violent crime. The city's draft SIR cites only one study, which is a good one, an extensive meta-analysis from 2019 of the past 40 years of research on this technology, 76 studies in all. I just wish the city actually read it. As others have raised, this review concluded that, quote, no significant effects were observed for reductions in violent crime or disorder. CCTV use was associated with only very modest changes in vehicle, property, and drug crime, small effects that were observed only for residential areas and parking lot settings that are not like where the city plans to deploy CCTV cameras. For city environments, the review did not find any benefits for crime prevention from CCTV use, with 79% of the relevant studies showing non-significant or undesirable effects. The city's draft SIR both mischaracterizes this meta-analysis and overstates its findings. It would not pass peer review in any reputable venue. The city also misses the review's conclusion that, quote, a body of research on the investigatory benefits of CCTV has yet to develop. In fact, a 2023 study looking at the impact of CCTV use around Dallas finds that it is, quote, likely not cost effective in terms of increasing clearances. I strongly urge the city to follow the research by rejecting wasteful spending on this technology. Thank you.
Thanks, Ethan. Nolan, I'm gonna unmute you. Nolan? Okay. I can come back to you. JM, I will unmute you and then we can come back to Nolan. JM, did you join, because I can't seem to unmute you. Did you join via phone or a different way that, because I don't have the option to unmute you. So if you, I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, but I'll move to T and then maybe we can try to figure that out if that's okay.
Hi, I'm T. Sannon, the Technology Policy Program Director at the ACLU of Washington. I'd like to raise 2 main concerns, one about effectiveness and potential for harm, and another about the review process. Seattle deserves public safety solutions that work. Research shows that surveillance technologies like acoustic gunshot location systems and CCTV cameras do not reduce gun violence and violent crime. Instead of making our communities safer, we know from other cities that all 3 of the technologies under review violate people's privacy and civil liberties. and disproportionately harm Black and Brown communities. Just last month, a police officer in Chicago was responding to a false gunshot alert and fired a gun at a child who was playing with fireworks. Because these technologies are ineffective and harmful, they're a waste of funds that could be spent on solutions that actually work. This is why cities like Chicago are ending their contracts with technologies like ShotSpotter. We in Seattle should learn from them. The ACLU of Washington is also concerned with the current review process. The Race Equity Toolkit requires the city to meaningfully engage with communities that will be most impacted by these technologies. This involves reaching out to communities and having an open dialogue with them about their concerns. The current public comment process is too rushed and too restrictive to achieve this engagement. The city also needs to ensure that the Community Surveillance Working Group is fully staffed and is going to have the time to produce their recommendations to the City Council as per the Seattle Surveillance Ordinance. We urge the city to not invest in these technologies, given the research, the known risks, and race equity concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. JM, I'm going to unmute I think there were 2 joins, so let's see if this is the correct one. Can you? Perfect. Awesome. Okay, we figured it out.
I was just gonna diss you guys' technology, but maybe it's on my end. But with this stuff, there's not much ramification. But with any mess up with technologies you guys are proposing, lives could be lost. So thank you, Ren, for sharing the context around all the politics and maneuvering that's being done to push the ShotSpotter and all these surveillance tech through in this budget shortfall year. I think that's really interesting, jarring for us to know at a time when social services are about to be cut. We have these expansions of police surveillance systems. So my name is JM. I'm here from, I don't live in Chinatown, but I work in the CID Chinatown. And there's a lot of folks who have been saying that Chinatown supports the surveillance technology. I'm here to say there's a lot of us who don't. And actually, as my friend had shared earlier, that there were campaigns that were explicitly meant to oppose the surveillance technology. So I want to just remind everyone about that. And a lot of us in the neighborhood do not want increased surveillance. We want actually the money to be invested in long-term solutions. And there were promises of safe consumption sites that's been talked about again and again and again. And for so long, that still has not happened. And the fact that there's no Seattle King County Public Health mobile stations around the neighborhood is just jarring. So if you guys could just replace a cop car with a mobile clinic, that would really help the safety in the neighborhood. And we really reject this attempt to just go to easy answers and to just use these technologies. Who knows what kinds of kickbacks are happening within the city? It's a dark place. I'm not sure. You guys can probably know better. But in the meantime, it might be really helpful for SPD to get your own house in order and to tell your own cops to stop using technology to stalk everyday people and to abuse the use of technology that you already do have. So I just want to say explicitly that there are people in the CID who just do not trust the police, and we refuse to let some folks and some voices speak for the neighborhood. So please use the money that was intended for this surveillance technology to think about more constructive long-term solutions for the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Nolan, let's give it a go.
Okay, hopefully people
Sweet.
can hear me.
We got you.
Yeah, I'm Nolan. I live in Capitol Hill. Like most of the people who talked before me, I also oppose these technologies. I just wanted to say that a quick online search of AGLS brings up all these articles about Chicago police opening fire on an unarmed child after a faulty AGLS call. I think it's ridiculous that Seattle wants to fund this system that Chicago has already proven not to work. And these technologies do not promote public safety. I do not support them, and this is a bad investment. That's it.
Thank you. Okay. Let's go to Nikhil. Forgive me.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi.
Hello, my name is Nikhil. I live in the Chinatown International District, and I'm here in opposition to the 3 proposed technologies. I first off want to say that the private sector partnership undermines the legitimacy of this entire process and proposal. The fact that there are corporations set to profit off of this that are looking to partner with the increased surveillance and overall increased militarization of the Seattle Police Department undermines any sort of democratic process, any ability for us to oppose these corporations that have a incredibly strong grip over our political process through their donations and through general their partnership with the city and with the state. I also am wholly confused by the premise of what we're talking about here. The question of is like, will this technology be effective? Will it make us safer? Well, we know that right now we are not safe. Every day we see our people, our community in the streets dying from their conditions. Lack of housing makes people unsafe. Lack of access to medical treatment and to basic social services makes people unsafe. The endless prison pipeline and carceral system terrorizing our youth makes us unsafe. And the Seattle Police Department perpetuating this, enforcing this, and protecting the interests of those in power, those profiting off of our labor and our plight and the destruction of our communities. This is what makes us unsafe. And so even if whatever esoteric study or whatnot, the city of Seattle is able to pull out to prove the effectiveness of CCTV, the crime center, and the acoustic gunshot detection technology. Even if they say that it makes the police more effective, we know that we don't want the police to be more effective because they are designed exactly to terrorize us and prevent us from uplifting ourselves and protecting our own communities. Just a few hours ago, people were arrested at the City Hall for voicing their demand for housing for migrants in our community. So we know what happens when we actually ask for what we need, and we know how the Seattle Police Department responds when we ask for what we need. So if we can take even just a half a step backwards and look at the full picture in which we are not safe right now, we will not be safe with the Seattle Police Department continuing to pull in public funds, our tax dollars, and all of our resources towards increased militarization and surveillance. That's it for me.
Thank you.
So I believe at this time we'll head back over to the in-person meeting at the Bitter Lake Community Center. Nick, if you would like to get the next 5 ready, I'll unmute the room.
Okay.
Stick to more like 1.5 minutes.
Yeah, we're 2 minutes, please. Keep it to 2 minutes. So Lou. Yeah. So Lou,
less clapping so we can just.
Okay, let's try to get some folks up here to speak. Lou Benel? Lee, I'm sorry. Says it's either Lou or Lee Benil. Okay, and then after that, Annie Lou, Seth Taylor, Jim McMahon, and Victoria Beach.
While this microphone is muted, is the conversation happening in the room not on the record?
I believe it's so folks can hear you here because we're when they're speaking.
But is the conversation happening here still being recorded for public record while this microphone is muted?
That I'm not sure of. You mean not while it's muted?
Okay, it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to start off by making one thing very clear. SPD has never faced any significant budget cuts.
They started by crying about being understaffed and saying they needed more money and more toys to play with. If nobody wants to go make 6 figures a year working for SPD, that's their fault because they messed up. They don't get to cry to us for millions of dollars of more equipment because they soiled their relationship with the community. AGLS does not alert police to gun violence. According to Chicago's Cook County State Attorney's Office, ShotSpotter technology is expensive and not making a significant impact on shooting incidents. Research by the MacArthur Justice Center at the Northwestern School of Law found that 86% of ShotSpotter alerts led to dead-end deployments. ShotSpotter will send police prowling for offenses where there are none. This is dangerous for people of color, given the department's history of extremely racist practices. SPD Bruce Harrell are asking us to throw millions into invasive technology that does not keep people safe. Meanwhile, huge chunks of the city are not ADA compliant. There are few public bathrooms, no benches to sit on. People are starving and dying in the streets. Surveillance does not fix the poverty that is at the root of most crime in the city. It sends cops with twitchy trigger fingers on wild goose chases. Do not fund this technology. You are going against the people if you enable surveillance on their dime.
Hi, my name is Annie. I live in Mount Baker, District 2, and also part of the CID community. I'm here to express my concerns about the proposed surveillance technology. As a software engineer who has worked on AI and automatic speech recognition, I'm deeply aware of the dangers of this tech. Without careful implementation, it will increase racial bias and invasion of privacy. And here in Seattle, AGLS will only increase SPD's violence and abuse of power. Automated surveillance tools give the false promise of efficiency, yet in reality are ineffective and costly. Chicago has ended their contract with ShotSpotter. Why are we rushing to start one? It is deeply irresponsible to buy into this security product without properly consulting the community, whose tax dollars would be spent on useless policing gadgets instead of services that would actually improve community safety. And while I'm just as concerned about safety as any other Seattle resident, this cannot be the solution. We need to focus on effective community-based crime prevention programs, not rely on ineffective surveillance tech.
Hello, my name is Seth Taylor and I live in Capitol Hill. I would like to voice my opposition to these technologies. These dodgy technologies will be ineffective at their stated goals. They will be used to incarcerate people without just cause, particularly people of color, and create criminals where there are none. These technologies and the data that they collect can only be used to harm the communities that they purport to help. Moreover, why is this hearing being held so far away from the communities most affected by them? Why are we rushing to implement these technologies without proper public comment or oversight? Money spent on these ineffective, harmful technologies can instead be used on effective, proven, community-driven solutions which lift people out of poverty, the true danger to public safety. The right to privacy is a default state. Merely being in a public space is not a justification to surveil people. No one should be treated like a criminal simply for existing in a public space. Thank you.
I'm Jim McMahon from Workers' World Party. People say no to making Seattle a surveillance city. The surveillance technology proposed by the mayor's office would put people under a high-tech spy network invading people's privacy. It is their own business, not yours, SPD. This technology would no doubt target the homeless who are stuck living outdoors and would be subject to monitoring when the homeless are already subject to City of Seattle-led harassment and terror and sweeps of their property and denial of their civil and human rights. The whole focus here is on suspected crime in the streets instead of crime in the corporate suites. Working people are robbed and terrorized by crime in the corporate suites through crimes of wage theft, and other anti-labor violations of labor, environmental laws, and corporate interference and dominance in all areas of society. We also demand that the city not take away the minimum wage laws and other pro-labor benefits for the Uber and rideshare drivers. Seattle must not legislate drivers back to poverty wages.
Which way are they looking at us? Where's the camera?
The camera's right there.
The camera's right there.
All right. So first off, I'm appalled that the Black community wasn't informed more about this meeting. We need them here because their voices are the voices that need to be heard. We're the ones that are losing our young Black men and women. I'm sick of people that don't look like us, don't live in our neighborhoods, think they can speak for us, hijack every moment. The reason why we're here is because of, we don't have a police department, it's because of groups like this that hijacked our movement when George Floyd was murdered, so we don't have a police department. So we need these tools to help our community. The Black community wants it. We need it. They can go home to their homes. They're not in our neighborhoods. They're not dying. I've sat just like Mother Walden with mothers and fathers weeping over their young Black children that have been murdered. These cameras or whatever it is would help maybe solve some of these murders. I want all of them to sit with a mother. They don't speak for us. And Bruce, I'm asking you, do not listen to the Black community. We need it. Listen to us for once. We weren't listened to during George Floyd, and look at us. We're here now. I am beyond pissed that this is happening. I was at a meeting last night that we put on. 2 white men, the rest Black. Every Black person there wants this. And one white guy against it. Listen to the community that needs it and wants it.
So, want to go to the online? 5 more?
Okay. All right. We will start with T. I'm going to unmute you. And then I'll let you know in the chat about 15 seconds before time.
Hi, thank you. I have lived in Seattle for my whole life, but I'm actually calling from Chicago right now, which just a week ago actually canceled its contract with ShotSpotter because, as everyone else has mentioned, it utterly failed. It cost the city, I don't even know how much money, but money that could have been spent elsewhere and should have been spent elsewhere. It did not make people safer. I'm going to read an excerpt from an article by Lawrence Swartz from Vanderbilt about the issues with ShotSpotter. The ShotSpotter program is a recent technological development in predictive policing. It was adopted in the city in 2018. However, the program is riddled with inaccuracy and has largely failed to produce evidence of gun crimes. ShotSpotter frequently alerts false positives, and out of the over 50,000 ShotSpotter alerts deployed in 2021, only 9.1% of the alerts provided evidence of a gun-related offense. As many other people have said already, there's no evidence these technologies work, and in fact, there is so much evidence that they don't work. I have no confidence that anything I'm saying here will be taken seriously, so I want to direct the rest of my time to addressing the people who came to this meeting to say, thank you for showing up. I think that the energy here is awesome, and like, even if they're not listening to us, we have the power and the ability to keep working on this issue and to keep making Seattle safe, because we know what makes our city safe, and it's not police. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, T. I'm going to move on to Karen.
Hi, my name is Karen. I'm calling in just to express my opposition to all of these technologies. I don't think we need a pilot program when it's been piloted in other cities. And it's clear that this is just a wedge to get this technology into our city to be later abused, transformed. Everyone knows it's much easier to just transform something into facial recognition or whatever, you know, as soon as soon as the cameras are already in place. They're not going to hold all these hearings for that, that's for sure. So we don't need to pilot this. We know scientifically that it doesn't work. And the community has been saying we don't want this. Thank you.
Eleanor, do you have our next up?
Yeah, sorry. Shane or Cheyenne Anderson? Shane, I think it is.
Hi there. Yes, I'm Shane. Hello? Okay. So I have to be upfront about saying that, like, I'm not currently living in Seattle. I did live in Seattle a few years back in around Pike's Place. I am opposed to the use of this technology in Seattle for many of the same reasons that have already been said by everyone here. So I will try to keep this brief so that people who are currently living in Seattle have more time. I would just ask the question of, if this moves forward after hearing so much opposition here tonight, what does that really mean about public hearings? What is the point of them if this moves forward when there's been such overwhelming negative feedback? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. And I don't have a name, so did you want to go? Okay. Perhaps we'll try Bonnie and then come back.
Hi, my name's Bonnie. I'm a resident of the Central District, District 3, and I strongly oppose the implementation of all three of the proposed surveillance technologies. Law enforcement agencies have a history of misusing and abusing CCTV. Peer-reviewed studies show that ShotSpotter is ineffective and increases biased policing, and RTCC software has the potential to violate civil rights and undermine democratic values. We know for a fact that community-based solutions like investment in secure and affordable housing, livable wages, food access, and more are the things that actually reduce violence. These types of community programs are already working. For example, the work of Rainier Beach Action Coalition's Restorative Resolutions Project has reduced violence by 33% in our community. Residents of my neighborhood and others are already feeling the impact of city and police surveillance. It causes a distrust of government, it creates isolation from community, and it offers no long-term solutions to underlying causes of violence. I don't know how many more ways or in how many different ways we can say that the Seattle community does not want these technologies implemented. This money needs to fund actually impacted communities, not be outsourced to external companies, especially during a deficit year. It's ridiculous to even be discussing funding these technologies as public services like Jumpstart are being cut. Defund the police, refund communities. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know your audio is not working. So do you want to maybe put your comment in the chat? Would you be comfortable doing that? Okay, thank you. Then we would love to get that way. Okay. Right. And I know since Bonnie, did you want to speak and then we can go back to the room?
I just went.
Okay.
The room is now unmuted.
Okay. So folks, I'm sorry to say, but we have to start breaking down this room.
I make you an offer. Instead of the reason that we couldn't make sure that everybody had an opportunity to speak because of how long it was gonna take to clean up the space. And I'm wondering if some folks in the room would like to help break down the space really quickly.
Absolutely.
A lot of us do this as part of our job.
I'll tell you what, we'll do 5 more public speakers. I'll do the 5 more left on here, and then if you guys want to help with chairs. Our labors are done. Let's do 5. Because we have to, the folks here want to go home too, who work at the community center. So 5 quick, we have Lindsay Lazowski, Beth Quintana, Matt, oh no, sorry, Matt didn't want to speak. Khalid Al-Assad, Sarah McCaslin, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Ella, I don't know if that's Shaw or Sean. So Lindsay?
Where am I supposed to stand?
You can just make sure you can stand here, this is the microphone right here,
Okay.
just so they can hear you.
My name is Lindsay Lazowski and I live in Fremont. The lobbyists will tell you how these technologies reduce crime and keep our communities safe, but the reality is that they deprioritize effective community safety solutions, ignore root causes of violence, and further harm already marginalized communities. As you've heard earlier, Chicago's mayor recently announced their decision to defund ShotSpotter in 2024, which cost the city $49 million since 2018, in part due to its pivotal role in the murder of 13-year-old Adam Toledo. In 2021, ShotSpotter alerted Chicago police of a suspected gunshot at Adam's residence. Based on Ring camera footage, Adam was playing with a firework and a basketball, but posed no harm to police officers. Adam was shot dead that day just for being a kid. I strongly oppose all 3 proposed technologies as a resident of Seattle because they are not intended to keep me or my neighbors safe. I urge you to alternatively invest in community resources like housing, healthcare, and other social supports. Thank you.
Hi, I am your neighbor, Beth Quintana. I live in Northgate in District 5. And it's a neighborhood that is one of the top areas in the city for violent crimes, for gun violence. So it affects me personally. There's so much to speak on with this, but something that hasn't been spoken to enough that I want to amplify is the concern for harm that this surveillance technology can cause. I'm a physician and I'm opposed to all of the technology that's being considered by SPD. Surveillance is not safety. In fact, data shows that many people that are exposed to surveillance technology feel less safe. The feeling of being watched does not lend to community. I want the city council and for all of us to consider the psychological impacts of using this kind of technology, of being surveilled. As friends have spoken to, the technology has been proven to not be effective, to not reduce violent crime, to target Black and brown communities, poor neighborhoods. I have specific questions about, so many questions, like what would your metric be for success? How would you know if you're failing, if you're using this? Cost over time. There's subscriptions for these services. We need to use money on what's been proven to work, which is investing in community. Focusing on community-based harm reduction and safety. There are programs that are already being implemented in this city. Mr. Gregory Davis has talked about the importance of investing in our most valuable technology, which is our youth. I would like to see the city use the money and focus more resources on supporting community, uplifting youth. And you came at us saying that there's a problem with staffing. Jonathan Maines, a lawyer involved in the MacArthur Justice Center study on ShotSpotter, said in multiple studies, ShotSpotter has been found to not produce gun violence, even when used in conjunction with other surveillance technologies like surveillance cameras. It also does not make police more efficient or relieve staffing shortages. Yeah, it's exactly the opposite. This article is in the Urbanist. You can read it. No surveillance. No surveillance.
My name is Khalid. I live in Fremont. My profession is technology, both in software engineering and product management roles. I completely oppose these three technologies. We have witnessed increased authoritarian fascism and state repression right here in our city of Seattle. This month, at a protest against the Israeli-American genocide of Gaza in Palestine, Seattle police violently assaulted a 62-year-old woman. Seattle police threw our sacred elder to the ground where she sustained a head injury. Seattle police brutalized our cherished elder while she was nonviolently and democratically protesting Israeli Nazism and American taxpayer funds wasted on genocide. Seattle police do not keep us safe. Seattle police endanger our most precious souls. We do not trust the police. We, the citizens of Seattle, refuse this wasteful and shameful surveillance package and demand funds be allocated to social welfare programs, not increased authoritarian criminalization programs. We reject the technologized militarization of our police force. Do not fall for the sexy marketing and single pane of glass buzzwords. I work in tech. Let me give you the insider perspective. We love using these marketing terms and buzzwords to sell to government. We love winning large, expensive contracts at the expense of the taxpaying public by upselling and overpromising the capabilities of our dysfunctional, buggy, and unaccountable technology product. The city of Chicago is actively divesting and ending its contract with ShotSpotter and AGLS system. AGLS systems are costly, inaccurate, error-prone, and fascistic. Do not waste community funds on this. Feed our children instead. House our homeless and our poorest instead. Heal and protect our sick and injured and disabled instead. Last month, I spent over $1,000 of my personal money to clothe refugees from Central and South America and Africa seeking sanctuary in Tukwila Church. SPD has threatened to sweep these people and even arrested many of them today. Some of the poorest and most disadvantaged people present in our community. Spend public money on public benefit. Do not waste our money on these costly policing and surveillance programs. Thank you.
I am Sarah. My sign says fund housing, not cop surveillance. I'm coming out in strong opposition to this. Special thank you to Solidarity Budget and the amazing teaching with leaders in the community that got me out of my house today to oppose this measure. I am from Flint, Michigan. I grew up in a town that was defunded for everything. We didn't have a police force, and fortunately, community kept me safe every day. And that's what we're here to do, not the cops. Community kept me safe, and that's what we're going to do to keep each other safe. We saw Aaron Bushnell self-emulate for Palestine this week, and as an EMT pulled out a fire extinguisher and said to the cop who pulled out the gun, "We don't need guns, we need fire extinguishers." And much like here, we don't need ShotSpotter, we need safe haven for trans abortion seekers and our activists doing the work. We don't need CCTV. We need behavioral health and substance use clinics and the staff who do the work. Thank you all. We don't need RTCC. We need restorative justice. We don't need cop homeless sweeps. We need housing, including those asylum seekers y'all arrested today at City Hall. Thank you for being in the community with me. Thank you for the time.
I'll be really brief. I just hope that everyone takes this opportunity to really listen to the community members that came out today, especially people that are most impacted by violence. I'm worried that you won't. I'm worried that the people that came out here, their voices are going to be lost. I know all of us don't agree with each other. I personally oppose these technologies, but the fact that people came out here today just to voice what they were feeling and their experiences is really powerful. So I do hope that that gets taken into account. I do worry that it doesn't, and this hearing is for nothing, but I hope so, and I'm really inspired by the people that came here today, so thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody. And now we have to-
Give me 10 seconds.
No, I'm so sorry.
Andrew Swartz used
Sorry,
department
yeah,
resources to
that now.
stalk and harass his ex-girlfriend and is still on department payroll. And we want to give him CCTVs and a real-time crime center? I don't fucking think so.
There's comment cards on the table there. You can go online and fill out the comments as well. March 22nd.
Everyone, this is a note. You're gonna be expanded on the public comment for March 22nd. Online form will be open. Please grab the form.
Take my red comment?
Probably not.
Yeah, I understand.
This is the way somebody wants to get out.
Thank everyone that's still online. I am going to close this WebEx meet, which will end the meeting for everyone. Have a great night.